Casey's arrest in Vermont?
Yes.
And I had asked you specifically about there being 2 large guns present.
Yep. Yes.
And you had indicated that you didn't remember.
Right. I know there were weapons out. Yeah.
Okay. You were present on the second story of the library when he was actually arrested, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Would it refresh your recollection if I were to show you a video of the arrest?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to play about 15 seconds on it for you. Is that you?
Yes.
Okay, does that refresh your recollection?
Yes.
Okay. So when he was apprehended, there were actually 3 large, I don't know if you would call them
Long guns.
long guns. Right?
Yes. Yes.
They were about this big.
Yeah.
There were at least 6 officers present.
Yes.
One of the officers was dressed in camouflage overalls,
Yes.
like basically like what you might expect like someone in the army to be wearing. Is that fair?
I suppose so. Yes.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Further direct examination?
Yes, thank you, Judge.
Still mind singing again? No? Yes. No. Maybe this is you. No.
Detective, you were asked questions on cross-examination about casings that were found, I believe you described, to the north of the Marsh Loop Trail.
Yes.
Do you recall those questions?
Yes.
What was the condition of those casings?
They appeared to be old outside for a while.
And where were they located?
Essentially in the ground, as if they've been driven on or stepped on, or just sitting there for a long period of time. They're embedded kind of in the dirt.
I'm abridging with states 226 for identification. Do you recognize that photograph?
Yes.
And what is it?
It's a picture of various spent shell casings on the ground where I recovered those casings over there.
So the same casings that you were asked about on cross-examination?
Yes.
And does that photograph fairly and accurately depict the casings from that date?
Yes. Yes.
Your Honor, I'd ask to strike date of identification and move it in as a full exhibit.
Any objection?
No objection.
226 is a full exhibit.
You were also asked about Defense 1019, which are those casings. In looking at that packaging, can you tell us what the PR number or the property number is that's associated with those casings?
22-2306-PR.
And can you just describe for the jurors, thank you, what a property number is?
So essentially, when we seize a piece of evidence and attach it to a case, whether it's an arrest report or an OF, an offense report, an investigation, we log the piece of evidence into our evidence holding area, I guess you could say. And when we do that, it's assigned a number. So each piece of evidence, like that one, ends in a sequence PR. So 22 just means the year it was seized, and then the property number that IMC, our database, assigns it, and then PR meaning property.
Thank you. And then up on the screen is 226. Can you describe for the jurors what they're looking at in this image?
This is the photograph I took before seizing some of those shell casings. So as I described, north of the crime scene, there was that essentially a hangout spot is what I'll call it. Fireplace, bottles broken, and the casings there embedded into the ground.
Thank you. You were also asked about a blue jacket Was that in a similar location as those casings?
Yes, it was the trail that we were on, just, I don't know, 50 to 100 yards past, I think, where those casings were seized. Walking distance, really.
Okay. And I'm approaching with states 227 for identification. Do you want to take a look at that photograph? Let me know if you recognize it. You recognize it?
Yes,
And
yes.
what is it?
It's the blue jacket that we seized. It was hanging on a tree a short distance from where these were.
And does it fairly and accurately depict the blue jacket that you saw that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, asked to strike the identification of 227.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
227 is a full exhibit.
So up on the screen is 227. And again, can you orient the jurors as to where both the old shell casings and this blue jacket were located?
Yeah, so if we're on the trail, you can kind of see on the far left, there's a portion of, I think, my partner's ATV, that he's on the trail system. So if we were at the area where those shell casings were taken, and we traveled on that trail in a southerly direction, we eventually came across this. Like I said, maybe 100 or so yards from where we took the shell casings.
Up on the screen is state 75. Can you describe where on this map those items were located?
So I believe it was,
I'll give you a pointer. You just want to point it out for them.
the crime scene is essentially over in this area. We were, I want to say here, in this general area, from what I can best remember. I'd have to look at the GPS to know for sure, but it was much far north from pretty deep in the woods.
Okay, so pretty far north from where the crime scene was.
Yes.
Now, based on your training and experience, you were asked about reasons that people lie to the police.
Yes.
Based on your training and experience, do people also try to lie to the police to conceal crimes committed?
Objection, Your Honor.
Counsel would approach.
In your training and experience, do people lie about their identity to police, sometimes to conceal that they've committed crimes?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Anything further?
Briefly, Your Honor.
Absolutely.
So, on redirect, you talked about these casings that you found in May, Defense Full Exhibit 1019, right?
Yes.
And you testified that these, there's 3 9mm casings and then 1 22.
Yes.
And the 22 is quite a bit smaller than the 9mm, right?
Yes.
And when you found these, you were actually looking for casings.
Like as for a purpose of why we were out there?
Yeah.
Yeah, correct. I guess so.
You testified that this area where you collected those 4 casings and that you observed the blue jacket, that's far away from the crime scene.
Yes, well, off of those trails, but yes, north of the crime scene, yes.
And that had been an area that you hadn't actually searched in the context of this case.
I don't understand the question.
You hadn't gone, so for example, when you did the line search, you hadn't gone as far north to search those general areas.
Correct.
And so you didn't know whether or not these casings in that jacket were related to this case.
Right, well, the description that we had was the suspect was possibly wearing a blue jacket. That's the reason for seizing the blue jacket. And then the casings were taken just because they're off of that trail system, and it was a shooting incident, so.
Right, so you didn't know for sure, but you were still thorough and photographed those things.
Yes,
You were still methodical and collected them.
yes,
And you still presented it to the other detectives working on the case, just in case.
yes.
Nothing further, Your Honor.
Would you like Detective Lemoyne subject to recall or excused?
I'd ask that he be excused.
I would like to have him subject to recall, Your Honor.
Yeah, that's not a problem at all. So Detective, you're free to go right now, but there's some possibility you could be recalled later in the trial, so
Okay.
so you're not excused altogether.
Yes, Your
Thank
Honor.
you. Thank you,
Thanks.
Detective.